What's up, YouTube? We are back again, and today I got a little bit of a rant video for you guys. I've kept my mouth shut about this long enough, and I feel like since there's not really many people really saying anything about this, there's been a few that I've seen, but in my opinion, this issue, it needs to be talked about, and that's knockoffs. Like, I have so much to say about this, man. I mean, I've been like keeping this out. I've been watching all the new product come in. And to be honest, it's really disappointing to see what's happened in the past year or two. I mean, it like it used to be a decent problem like back, but now it's just flat out like blatant, and it's ridiculous what it's gotten to with I don't know, man. I mean, it's crazy what's going on with these giant companies like Berkeley, and then you got Guggen, and then you got all these other brands. I'm not trying to like bash anybody in particular. I'm gonna talk about really how the practice of knockoffs is really not okay, and why we as anglers, we shouldn't really allow it to happen the way it has. We should show these companies that we're just not gonna let them, like just steamroll other brands and just basically just knock them off, make them cheaper and worse, and there's not really much else that really benefits from that. There's just a bunch of money that gets thrown around. It's ridiculous. But anyway, starting to do a little bit more swim bait pickups here. So I'm just gonna, just shameless plug here. I'll probably be out with that video by mid to late March, I'm estimating, based on the current weather conditions. As soon as I can get out there and film it, I will film it. And we're going to be having a big swim bait test video similar to the one that I did a few years ago, but the baits are going to be updated and stuff. So with that said, I mean, it's really gotten absurd what's happened to the fishing industry and the lack of integrity in this industry. And you know what happened is, a couple years ago Hank Cherry won the Classic, right? And he was throwing an unnamed jerkbait, which turns out it was the Megabass Vision 110 Plus 1 in GP Stain Reaction Orange Belly. That's the exact bait. I actually have that exact bait. So he wins it, right? And literally last year he won it on a prototype jerkbait called the Berkeley Stunna, and it's very, very similar to the Vision 110. I mean, it's not really identical. It's not as blatant as a lot of the other knockoffs that Berkeley has done in the past couple years, but if you look at the internals, I mean, they're pretty similar to the multi-weight balancer system that Megabass has made in the Vision 110. And if you look at the colors, they're very, very similar. Like they literally have one called Hanky Panky, which is like an exact duplicate of GP Stain Reaction Orange Belly. And I just think that's totally not cool, and why I think Megabass should reap financially. It's because these companies like Megabass, another example would be Yamamoto with the Senko, these guys spend sometimes years of research and development to create something truly innovative, which is very hard to accomplish in the fishing industry because there's so much product out there and there's a lot of stuff that's already been done before, so it's really difficult to try and do something different, like with Megabass or even Sixth Sense or /13 Fishing with that moving bill system there with the axis or whatever. But man, it's gotten out of control. I mean, literally almost every other product right now is a knockoff of something else, and you're gonna have the people that say, oh well, the Sassy Shad's been out since the 80s and everyone's copied the paddle tail. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it doesn't really matter. Even if it was the original, I still think that whoever made that bait should be able to just get all the financial benefits because they innovated it. If I came out with a swim bait or something that moved crazily and it got a whole bunch of hype, I wouldn't want anybody else knocking off, and I'm sure a lot of you guys probably feel the same. But when these people say, oh, it's every other company is knocked off the Senko, that doesn't mean it's right. It's still wrong. It doesn't matter who does it. It doesn't matter if it's Guggen or Berkeley or any of these other companies. It doesn't matter if Bass Pro. Bass Pro is probably one of the worst at it. I mean, they've knocked off the Dark Sleeper, the Senko. They even named it the same with the Sticko. Crankbaits. I mean, it's absurd the amount of knock. I could probably list off. I mean, if I really thought about it for a minute, I could probably list off about 10 to 15 baits that Bass Pro has knocked off. I mean, it is absurd how ridiculous it's gotten, and really it's gotten to the point now where brands like Berkeley, they just don't even care, but like they don't even care to think outside the box. They literally just take the hot bait, which in this past couple years has been the dark sleeper, and they literally knocked it off like almost to a T. Like you look at the two baits and it's obvious that they knocked it off. And I just think that should be unacceptable in the fishing community because, like I said, it's so hard to achieve like actual like innovation. These brands work so hard, and it's just a big whole like debacle. And you got these people who don't really know any better who are just gonna buy the knockoff bait, and then they're gonna say, oh, it's the next best thing, you know, and they're gonna be so hyped about it when in reality that thing has been out for years. And so I feel like it's wrong for these brands to do this. I mean, it happens in every industry, but the reason why I'm saying something about this now is because it's really gotten like bad, like over the past year especially. I mean, with Berkeley, they ripped off the shower blows, the Senko with the General. They ripped off the Whopper Plopper with the I mean, I could just go on and on and on about the knockoffs that Berkeley's come out with, and what I'm saying here is we as fishermen, we should not just allow this stuff to happen, you know. I think it's inexcusable that people just accept the fact that, oh, it's a knockoff, big deal, when in reality you get brands like Megabass that are spending years and thousands of dollars in research and development to come out with actual innovative baits, only at a Berkeley knock it off. And that's really what sucks about it is Megabass can't really get all the financial benefits because essentially like all Berkeley has to do is change one little thing in their bait, like the dark sleeper. They just added like a little like fluorocarbon weed guard or whatever instead of like the fin guard, but it's still like the exact same bait. And I just think that's unacceptable, man. I mean, maybe you guys have different opinions about it, but in my opinion, like whoever does it, it doesn't matter who does it. It doesn't matter if it's Bass Pro, Guggen, any of these store brands. It doesn't matter who does it. It's still wrong. Like it's morally wrong, in my opinion. It's like, and a lot of people. That's where I disagree with a lot of other people. So they're like, oh, everybody knocked out the Senko. It's okay. No, it's not. It doesn't make it okay that a bunch of other brands copy it. It's still wrong for each of those brands to just knock off the hot seller. And at the end of the day, it's all money. And then you got pros that are saying, oh, I caught this on what, but they were just using another company. I mean, it's gotten ridiculous. I mean, like I said, I can go on and on and on about this. And maybe, I mean, there's a lot of other things I could rant about, but for now, this is just like the one that I'm just going to put out just because it's been so prevalent. If this video does well, maybe I'll do another one, but for now, this is like my first venture into this world, because some people really like rant videos and some people absolutely hate them, so I'm just trying to test the waters real quick, see if I could start something here, but hopefully start some interest in this. I didn't want to start like any war or anything like that. Yeah, but hopefully, I mean a lot of these products that I have, I try really hard to buy original. Like, I try to weed through all the BS and all the other stuff that goes on, all the marketing. I try and sift through all that and really try and find what I think is the best. And yeah, the bait sanity that I like so much, people say it's a knockoff the Depths 250. In my opinion, joints are different. The hinge is different, the actual way it moves. It doesn't have the skin around it that the Depths does, and it's got a different profile. It's somewhat different. It's not even the exact same size. It's a little bit smaller than Depths. But it just comes down to, what we as consumers will buy, and I'm just trying to sway the public, like whoever watches this video. My main message to you is just try and sift through all the BS. Don't buy, do some research before you buy into the hot bait or whatever. Just do some research on maybe who actually innovated that, because what happened is, here's another example. Berkeley comes out with Gilly, right? Wins ICAST Best of Show. Big deal, right? Well, a lot of people were upset because there's a small Japanese company named Issei that came out with the gill flat, and they didn't get any recognition at all when Berkeley just practically knocked it off and won the award. I think that kind of stuff is totally ridiculous, and I don't really think it should be tolerated in the fishing industry at all, period. And that's really why I'm making this video, is because I just think it's just terrible for these brands to actually innovate just to have some company knock them off. I think that's really crappy of everything, but at the end of the day, it's all about money. I mean, what am I going to do to change it? I'm just some scrub in the internet. So, yeah, like I said, I'm just waiting for these lakes to unfreeze so I can get some decent swim videos, and I'll put that video out there. But until then, I hope you guys took something away from this. Maybe you didn't know something about maybe one of the baits I mentioned, but if you guys want more about it, I can maybe do a part 2 if this video does well enough. Just let me know in the comments, and subscribe if you're new here. I do a lot of swim bait videos as well as some reel and rod reviews occasionally, with the occasional like story mixed in. So that'll be it for today. Thanks for watching.